caught his maid secretly using his computer. The CEO was angry, but the lines of code left him froze. The security alert pinged on Marcus Chen's phone at 2:47 a.m., jolting him from the first peaceful sleep he'd had in weeks. Someone was accessing his home office computer again. His wife Sarah had been gone for 3 months now. 3 months since the divorce papers arrived. 3 months since she'd taken their daughter Emma to her mother's house in Portland, leaving behind only the faint scent of her perfume and a house that felt like a mausoleum. Marcus had installed the monitoring software after the break-in last month. Though nothing had been stolen, just moved, files rearranged, his chair height adjusted, it felt like a violation worse than theft. In a life where everything was falling apart, his home office was the last place that felt truly his. The drive from downtown Seattle to Bellevue blurred past. In a haze of streetlights and fury, Pinnacle Technologies was hemorrhaging money. The quarterly reports sat on his passenger seat like a death sentence. 6 months to turn things around, or the board would vote him out. The company his father had built, the legacy he'd sworn to protect, was crumbling in his hands. And now this. Some stranger invading the one space where he could still think clearly. The house loomed dark and empty, except for the soft glow from his second-floor office. Marcus's heart hammered as he climbed the stairs, each step echoing in the hollow space where his family's laughter used to live. He found her hunched over his workstation, a small woman in a threadbare gray sweatshirt, her dark hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looked young, maybe 30, but her eyes held the kind of exhaustion that aged a person decades. "What the hell are you doing in my house?" She spun around, nearly falling from the chair. Elena, his housekeeper, the quiet woman who'd been cleaning his house for 8 months, who always left without saying goodbye, who seemed to disappear into the walls like smoke. "Mr. Chen, please, I can explain." "Explain what?" "How you've been breaking into my office, going through my files." Marcus stepped closer, his voice shaking with rage. "Do you have any idea what's on this computer? Company secrets worth millions." Elena stood slowly, her small frame trembling, but she didn't run. Instead, she met his eyes with a steadiness that caught him off guard. "I wasn't stealing anything." "Then what were you doing?" She hesitated, her fingers twisting the hem of her sweatshirt. I was trying to help." Marcus laughed bitterly. "Help? You clean toilets and dust furniture. What could you possibly help me with?" The words hit her like a physical blow. Elena's face crumpled for just a moment before she composed herself, but Marcus saw it. The flash of deep, old pain. "I know about the inventory system," she said quietly. "What? The one that's been crashing? The one that's costing you millions?" Elena's voice grew stronger. "I hear you on the phone every morning. You pace in your office and shout at your programmers. You throw things at the wall." Marcus felt his chest tighten. "You've been listening to my private conversations?" "I've been working in the next room. The walls are thin." Elena's voice grew urgent. "But Mr. Chen, it's not just system crashes. Someone's been sabotaging your company from the inside." "What are you talking about?" "Last Tuesday, I was cleaning your office when you got that call from your CTO, David. You were screaming about how the crashes only happened during major client demos, never during testing." Elena's hands shook slightly. "That's not random, that's deliberate." Marcus stared at her. "You think someone's doing this on purpose?" "I know they are. I've been tracking the pattern for weeks. Every time Pinnacle is about to close a major deal, your system mysteriously fails. Your competitors at Modern Tech somehow always swoop in with their more reliable solution." Elena moved to the computer. "I started investigating because I recognized the signature." "What signature?" The way the code fails, it's to clean, to targeted. Someone with admin access is triggering these crashes remotely. Elena's voice dropped to a whisper. Mr. Chen, I think I know who it is. That's impossible. My development team has been working on that bug for 6 months. They have MIT degrees, Stanford PhDs, and one of them has been selling you out to modern tech. Elena pulled up a hidden log file. Look at these access records. Someone's been logging into your system from an external IP address every Monday night, right before the Tuesday crashes. The rawness in her voice stopped him cold. Elena pulled up a code editor, and Marcus saw his company's proprietary inventory system spread across the screen. Thousands of lines of complex code that had cost millions to develop. Here, she said, pointing to a specific function. Line 847. This looks like a memory leak, but it's not. Someone modified this code 3 months ago to create artificial failures. Elena highlighted several lines in red. See this? They added a timer function that triggers every Tuesday during high traffic periods. It's designed to look like a system crash. Marcus leaned over her shoulder, studying the code. His breath caught. Those are David's initials in the comment. Metadata. Your CTO has been sabotaging your own system. Elena's voice was grim. But here's the worst part. He's been selling your client data to modern tech. Look at these database queries. He's been extracting customer information every time he triggers a crash. Marcus felt the room spin. David's worked for me for 8 years. He was my father's protege. I'm sorry, Mr. Chen, but I have proof. Elena opened another window, showing encrypted files. I've been documenting everything for 3 weeks. Bank transfers from modern tech to an offshore account linked to David's name. Email communications, everything. How did you figure this out? Because I recognized the pattern. At Microsoft, we dealt with corporate espionage cases, the systematic targeting of demos, the perfectly timed failures, the way your competitors always had the exact solution ready. It's textbook industrial sabotage. Elena's voice was barely a whisper. I've been staying here all night working on gathering evidence. I finish cleaning, and then I work until morning, building a case against David. You've been investigating corporate espionage from my home office? I couldn't access the company servers from anywhere else. And I knew if David suspected I was onto him, he'd destroy the evidence. Elena's hands trembled. Mr. Chen, modern tech was planning to destroy Pinnacle completely. They have your client list, your pricing strategies, your development roadmap. David was going to trigger one final catastrophic failure next week during the board meeting. Marcus felt his blood run cold. The board meeting where they decide my future. David was going to make sure the system crashed spectacularly in front of the investors. Then modern tech would swoop in and offer to buy Pinnacle's assets for pennies on the dollar. Elena turned to face him. Your father's company would be gone forever. Your next job? I clean for houses during the day, but I've been using every spare moment to track David's activities. I installed monitoring software on his company laptop when I cleaned his office last month. Elena's laugh was hollow. Being invisible has its advantages. No one suspects the cleaning lady of corporate espionage. Marcus sank into his leather chair, the weight of her words settling on him. Elena, why didn't you just tell me? Why all this secrecy? Because who would believe the cleaning lady over the CTO? You would have thought I was trying to sabotage the company myself, or that I was delusional. Elena turned away from the screen. I needed solid proof, unshakable evidence, and you have it. Everything. Financial records, code modifications, email correspondence. Even recordings of David's phone calls to modern tech executives. Elena's voice grew stronger. I have enough evidence to destroy him legally and save your company. But why? Why would you risk everything for a company that's not even yours? Because I know what it's like to lose everything to someone else's betrayal. Elena's voice broke slightly. My husband didn't just die of cancer, Mr. Chen. He died because his insurance company, owned by Modern Tech's parent corporation, denied coverage for his experimental treatment. They let him die to save money. Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. Elena, but there's more. 3 weeks ago, I tried to help through proper channels first. Elena's voice became bitter. I approached your development team during their lunch break. I explained about the suspicious crash patterns, showed them my analysis. What happened? David laughed in my face, called me the help and asked if I was trying to get a tip for playing detective. Elena's hands shook with, remember, humiliation. His assistant, Jennifer, told me to stick to mopping floors and leave the thinking to people with actual degrees. Marcus felt his jaw clench. They said that to you. Tom from your security team was the worst. He said maybe I should focus on cleaning up my own life before I tried to fix other people's code. Elena wiped her eyes. I tried to show them the evidence, but they wouldn't even look at it. David threatened to call security if I bothered his team again. Elena, I'm so sorry. I couldn't lose this job, Mr. Chen. Cleaning your office pays better than my other houses. You leave me alone to work. You don't micromanage me, and you've never once made me feel small. Elena's voice cracked. I've been here 8 months, and you're the only employer who's ever treated me with basic dignity. So you decided to investigate on your own. I had to. Your company was being destroyed, and the people responsible were the same ones who let my husband die. I couldn't just stand by and watch. Elena looked directly at him, even if it meant risking the only stable income I have. Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. I'm sorry. After he died, I tried to get back into tech, but I'd been out for 3 years. My skills were outdated. I was overqualified for junior positions and underqualified for senior ones. Elena's hands clenched into fists. Do you know what it's like to go from designing software used by millions of people to scrubbing someone else's bathroom floors, Elena? But I kept coding. At night, in libraries, on borrowed computers, because it's the only thing that makes me feel human anymore. Marcus looked at the screen, then back at her. You fixed our bug. I fixed part of it. But there's more. Your entire architecture is flawed. The way you're handling user authentication, the database optimization, the API endpoints, it's all held together with duct tape and prayers. Show me for the next hour. Elena walked him through the evidence she'd gathered. Financial transfers, modified code, stolen client data. Her investigation was thorough, methodical, devastating. This is incredible, Marcus breathed. You didn't just save Pinnacle Technologies. You exposed the entire conspiracy. Elena's laugh was bitter. And now I'm probably going to prison for corporate espionage myself. What do you mean? She gestured at the computer. I hacked into company systems. I accessed David's personal files. I recorded private conversations without consent. Everything I did to catch him was technically illegal, but you tried to do it the right way first, and they humiliated me for it. David made sure the whole development team knew that the cleaning lady thought she could solve problems they couldn't. Elena's voice was full of pain. After that meeting, every programmer in the building looked at me like I was delusional. Some of them started leaving their computers open with deliberately complex code on the screen, like they were testing to see if I was really some kind of corporate spy. They were cruel to you. I almost quit that day. But Miguel needs the money from this job for his college applications. And I realized something. If I left, who would catch David? Who would save your company? Elena looked at him with fierce determination. I may just be the cleaning lady to your team, but I wasn't going to let them turn me into a coward too. You're not a criminal. You're a hero. She turned away from the computer, her shoulders sagging. I'm getting evicted next week. I'm 3 months behind on rent. My son Miguel, he's 17, wants to study computer science. He doesn't even know. I tell him I work in tech consulting so he won't be ashamed of me. Ashamed of his mother who cleans up other people's messes. Elena's voice cracked. He thinks I'm successful. He brags to his friends about his programmer mom. If he knew I was scrubbing toilets, Marcus felt his chest tighten. Elena, your son should be proud of you. You're one of the most talented programmers I've ever met, and you have more integrity than my entire development team combined. Integrity doesn't pay rent, and it doesn't erase the humiliation of being laughed out of that conference room. Elena's voice was hollow. Do you know what it's like to have the solution to save a company and have everyone treat you like you're invisible, like your thoughts don't matter because of what you do for work? I'm starting to understand. It does now. Marcus stood, moving to his desk. I'm offering you a job, senior developer position, full-time, starting salary of $90,000. And David is fired immediately. Elena stared at him. You're joking. I'm not. You just saved my company and exposed a conspiracy that would have destroyed everything my father built. But more than that, Marcus paused. You showed more loyalty to Pinnacle in 3 weeks than David did in 8 years. I used your computer without permission. I conducted unauthorized surveillance. You risked everything to save a company where you were treated like dirt. You could have walked away after David humiliated you, but you stayed because you believed in something bigger than yourself. Marcus moved closer. Elena, that's not criminal behavior. That's heroic behavior. She shook her head. Your development team will never accept me. After what happened in that conference room, they'll make my life hell. Then I'll fire every single one of them and start over. Marcus's voice was firm. Any programmer who can't see your value doesn't deserve to work for Pinnacle Technologies. You have something better. You have the ability to see solutions when everyone else sees problems. Elena was quiet for a long moment. Why are you doing this? Marcus looked around his empty office, at the photos of his family that he'd turned face down months ago, at the awards and achievements that felt meaningless now. Because I've been so focused on protecting what I have that I forgot to see what I was missing. He paused. My wife left me because she said I'd become cold, distant, more interested in my computer than my family. Maybe she was right. I'm sorry. You know what the worst part is? I haven't talked to another human being, really talked, in months. Tonight, listening to you explain code, seeing your passion for solving problems, it's the first time I've felt alive in a long time. Elena wiped her eyes. I don't know if I can do this. It's been so long since someone believed in me. Then let me be the first to remind you who you are. Marcus extended his hand. Senior Developer Elena Vasquez, welcome to Pinnacle Technologies. She took his hand, and he felt the calluses from years of cleaning work, the strength of fingers that had never stopped coding, never stopped believing in better solutions. There's one more thing, Marcus said. I want you to lead the team that rebuilds our entire system. From the ground up, your vision, your architecture. Marcus, I want you to hire Miguel as a summer intern. If he's half as talented as his mother, he'll revolutionize our junior developer program. Elena's composure finally broke. She covered her face with her hands. shoulders shaking with silent sobs. "I thought I was invisible," she whispered. "Elena, you're the most visible person I've ever met. You just needed someone to turn on the lights." 6 months later, Pinnacle Technologies posted record profits. Elena's new system eliminated downtime, improved security, and streamlined operations beyond anyone's expectations. Miguel had started college early, working part-time at Pinnacle while studying computer science at UW. Marcus's house had changed too. The cold, empty spaces filled with the warmth of collaboration. Elena often worked late in his office, and they'd code side by side, solving problems and building something bigger than either could create alone. The divorce papers still sat in his desk drawer, unsigned. Sarah had called last week, asking if they could talk. Maybe it was timed out one evening. As they debugged the final module of Elena's new system, Marcus found a small note on his keyboard. "Thank you for seeing me when I couldn't see myself." He looked across the room at Elena, completely absorbed in her work, her fingers flying across the keyboard with the kind of grace that comes from doing what you love. "Elena," she looked up, smiling. "Find another bug." "I found something better," Marcus said. "I found my way back to being human." "What do you mean?" "I called Sarah today, asked if Emma could come visit next weekend. Maybe we can't fix our marriage, but we might be able to fix our family." Elena's smile widened. "That's the best code you've ever written. I learned from the best teacher." They went back to work, the soft blue glow of the monitors casting warm light across a room that had become more than an office. It had become a place where broken things got fixed, where invisible people became seen, where the most unlikely partnerships created the most beautiful solutions. Outside, Seattle's skyline glittered with promises of tomorrow. Inside, to programmers, continued building bridges between what was and what could be, one line of code at a time. The security alert that had brought them together still sat in Marcus's phone, marked as a favorite. Sometimes the best intrusions were the ones that let the light back in.